Hello, everyone, and welcome to class today. My name is Chantelle Hoffmann. I am the calligrapher penman instructor behind Bespoke Strokes Calligraphy, and I have been partnering with Montblanc for coming up on 2 years, a little over a year and a half, and teaching our Inspire Writing classes. I hope this really does get to be a special time, especially with the word Inspire Writing. I feel like that's a great word for today's theme and really getting to focus on enhancing our handwriting experience. Please print out the handouts if you haven't already. If you're someplace that you just can't print them out right now, grab any kind of lined paper. In fact, it's probably fun to have some extra paper today too, because we just really want to doodle a lot. We're going to get the ink flowing from our pens. The other thing that I would recommend today, if you happen to have some of your favorite writing instruments that you know that you already love to write with, that would be fantastic. So if you've got a variety of maybe a ballpoint pen, a roller ball, a gel pen, a fountain pen, could even be a dip pen, whatever, or pencil, whatever you have, if you already love writing with it, that's going to be great because we're going to do a couple little test runs and see why we love writing with those different instruments. So grab those tools and then pause and take a deep breath, because I want to talk about handwriting in the sense of an experience and a ritual for a second. We use handwriting to communicate, and we use handwriting for ourselves and to get into a mental state. There's so many different reasons why we come to and why we enjoy handwriting. And I want us to think for a moment about the gift that it is in our lives and why we enjoy handwriting. As I was thinking about this for myself, I think part of the answer is when I see a beautiful scenery, maybe a beautiful landscape, it's beautiful to look at. But if I can, ride a bike or hike or ride a horse or something, row a boat in that scenery, then I feel like I'm part of it and I'm experiencing it. When I come across a beautiful song or a poem that I really love, or it's caught in my head, and I just really love these words, by being able to write them out, I feel like I am part of the experience. And here are a few tips that you can think through. And I'm not going to go through a lot in detail because we have so much fun stuff to cover today. But just a few things that you can think about if you are looking to practice your best writing, like you really just want to work on technique and penmanship, then for sure sitting at a table and chair is going to be best for technique. Here's a few things you can think about: just sitting, having a good posture, sitting not too close, not too far from the desk, having your feet on the floor, or actually here in my studio, I prop my feet up on a stool so that I can sit up high enough so that my shoulder and arm can be at a 90-degree angle. So then let's talk about comfort, and the longevity of your writing is really going to be impacted by your grip. If you take your hand, shake it out, and just plop it so it lands on the paper on its side, see that shape, kind of this reverse C shape that it makes? And I can prop my fountain pen in there. This open C shape is really what I want to maintain. I want my hand to be nice and relaxed. Part of the joy of handwriting is knowing that you just have tools that you really love and why you use certain tools in certain settings. So this is where I want you to pull out those three or four, or whatever, however many pens you want to practice with, of your favorite writing instruments. And we're going to talk through a few of the specifics of why you might choose one tool over another. So I am going to start with the ballpoint pen, because we all, that's what a lot of us have in our drawers. They're all over the place. So we're going to start with the ballpoint pen, and you can write up here at the top what you're writing with. I happen to be using the Platinum Montblanc Meisterstück ballpoint pen, and it is dreamy. Actually, to be completely honest, don't normally like ballpoint pens a ton, but then I have to change my mind a little bit after writing with this one. Next, what about a rollerball option? They both have that same little ball and socket mechanism at the tip, but the difference is the ink. So with the rollerball, this is a water-based ink. It's water and dyes. So it's really fluid, really, really smooth to write with. So you're not going to have kind of that same stickiness is the wrong word, but if you've ever had a ballpoint pen explode on you and your fingers, it does feel sticky. So this is not going to be sticky. It's nice and smooth. So if people want to like speed of writing, the rollerball is great for that. And then let's look at, one of my favorites here, and that is the fountain pen. Now, if you have watched any other videos or taken classes with people who love handwriting, many of us have fallen hard and fast in love with the fountain pen, and that's for a few reasons. One of my favorites being the ink. So when you write out a word, again, it's very, very smooth because it's a water-based ink. I'm using a medium nib here, and so it's laying down a little bit more ink, but I could also show you with an extra fine. So it's just a thinner line. It's really smooth, and a fountain pen will write under its own weight. So I don't have to push hard onto the paper. My hand isn't being fatigued. I can just glide across the paper. As you play with and you go home and you want to, again, figure out what types of writing instruments you love, try some different options or go to a boutique and try some. I was really surprised that I loved this Brothers Grimm pen. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but it's a really heavy pen, comparatively. So here I have, this is one of the classiques, and it's a light feather light pen. And this comparatively is quite a bit heavier and thicker. And I found that having the heavier pen, I kind of liked the weight that it gave my hand. So I felt like it stabilized me as I was writing. So as you pick your favorite tool, think about how it feels in your hand. Am I cramping? Do I like the way my letters look? Maybe it's laying down more ink because I can choose a bold nib or a medium nib that's laying down more ink, or maybe an extra fine nib because I want to show all those details. So some people say, I don't like cursive because I don't like the way it looks. Well, there's lots of different ways that it can look. So here's some styles that you could learn. We've been talking about Palmer method. If you like this, tune into Mike Ward's classes through Montblanc. He just taught Spencerian Part 1. I believe the replay is there on the Montblanc website, and he's got more coming. And Spencerian is basically the grandfather of the Palmer method. So very similar structures to the letters there. And I like this. I think it has this nice, angular shape to it. Zahner Bloser or Danielian are pretty common methods taught in school. I was taught Danielian. To be honest, not my favorite, but you may love it. Or there's lots of international styles. There's French cursive, which tends to be more upright. That can be stretched out a bit more too. My husband is from Austria. He learned some Schreibenschrift. I'm going to get that wrong. But very different style as well. So those of you who have learned some cursive, let's put some more ink on the paper and write out a sample of your cursive. And we are going to analyze it a little bit to see what we can do to enhance that a bit as well. So I've given you these words here. They come from the Dolch list, which was made in 1948, and is the list of apparently from children's books. So it's not going to be the most accurate, but the most used words, 220 most used words in children's books in the 1940s. Anyways, it's the words that we're going to see come up a lot in the English language. So it's a fun list to practice from. So let's go ahead and you can write out these words. The, to, and, what. Always just give yourself the time to write that out. And then we'll take a peek at how you feel about it. And maybe if you'd like to make some adjustments to aim for a little bit more legibility or style or neatness. Okay. All right. This is where I want to leave time to go through and answer some of these specific questions that we have about enhancing our experience when we come up against some little roadblocks or some bumps along the way that would deter us from that positive, pleasant experience. So maybe, back to that question that was asked about having an off day sometimes. It might be because my ink is bleeding into the paper and it's just driving me crazy, or because my ink just keeps skipping. So let's talk about how we can alleviate some of those pain points. We talked a little bit about, I feel like my writing looks messy and doesn't really have a style. So the key points that we touched on already are, slow down a little bit, space out your letters so they're not smashed up against each other, let them breathe. Sometimes the ink skips when I write. Yes, and this is a frustration that I've had lately with one pen in particular, and I've been kind of trying to troubleshoot because it's only when I'm making certain strokes. So if it's just a pen, like maybe it's you've got a gel pen and it's skipping, white ink in a gel pen is notorious for this. With the gel pen, it's because there are those that pigment, that powder that's in the ink, it's drier, it's thicker, and it just doesn't flow as well. But if you have a fountain pen and it really should be flowing smoothly and it's not, a few things could be at play. One, it could be that you haven't maintained your pen in a while and you need to clean it out. That when we talk about the ritual of being someone who loves penmanship, I actually really, really love getting to lay out the pens and clean them out and dip them in. If you've never bought a bottle of ink and you like handwriting, like just the whole process of filling up the ink and it becomes part of the ceremony. It's great. So you might be that you need to service your pen. All right, the next one is the ink bleeds on the paper when I write. Two possible fixes for that. One is to either change the paper. So here I'm using, that's the extra fine. Let me grab the medium because it's going to lay out more ink. So you see how I can get a really nice crisp line. If it bleeds, you kind of your line just dissipates into the paper. This is great quality paper. I like to use the HP Premium Choice when I print out my handouts because it's really, really smooth and it's 32 pounds, so it's a little bit denser paper, so higher quality copy paper. If you're using a cheaper paper and it's dissipating, best thing to do if you want to use a fountain pen is to change the paper. However, let's say you don't have the option of changing the paper. This was given to you. Then you can try either changing the ink or changing the tool that you're writing with. We mentioned before that, the rollerball or the ballpoint pen, because they are slightly different inks or they're not laying down as much ink, might be another great option for you. Let's talk about hand cramping when you write. Okay, so here's a few quick tips. We already talked about how we are holding the pen. You can do some warm-up exercises ahead of time. To be honest, I basically never do that, but you can. I'm probably bad in admitting that. But what I do find helpful is, one, being aware of not white knuckling. Two, you can hold a pen cap or an eraser in your non-writing hand. And by holding this, it just by nature of how your body is offsetting itself, will help you not death grip two things at the same time. So hold something in your other hand, and then just be aware of posture as you're writing. So if you tend to tuck your arm real tight into you and you're really just trying to tighten up, loosen and relax. I actually find that sometimes especially that Palmer method, the more I relax and I'm not trying to over control my letters, it actually looks nicer. It adds that smoothness that I am looking for. So a couple tips there. What if I like handwriting, but it just takes me too long to do it? I hate to say it, but the best thing that's going to help in this case is practicing, so you get kind of more of that speed of writing. When I watch my children, or even my husband last night when I asked him to do that sample for me, he couldn't quite remember how to do some of the letter forms, and he kind of was just a little bit slow. So the more that you get used to writing in certain forms, it will be faster. But then also, again, thinking about like what type of ink you're using. So if you're using the rollerball that's a really smooth, or something that's laying down more ink, it's going to be smooth and there's going to be less of a hindrance as you are writing. So you can actually write with quite a bit of speed. So you can keep up with your, I cannot talk and write at the same time, but I can write pretty quickly as I am going along, once my hands are pretty used to those motions. All right, number 7, I like my regular handing, but I want to learn more styles. I will always support this and say, let's do it together. We will be adding more classes to the Montblanc setup. We've got architectural handwriting. Let's find styles that we love and just find different ways that we can make our own handwriting experience really fun.